Alright, abusinyama memfa na ase sonko free Mega TV asoye intimi emfambra obibie nyankopon enhyira papa na sesei ade baako a ehwa ye din ewo Ghana ha pa awanhwe ya okotene TV so ana ye radio station so a obetimi agu animase amankofo asrew atetew. In fact wani mbegu ase poto sede Dr. Mahama Bawumia any NPP omo very poto ewa bawe mu no eye defending NPP being a communicator enti se ne wahwa NPP communicators ni na omo a sebi omo yempanfo no ti sei omo ja kasa abronye no omo mu ano aboa paponom ene omo nyina komo no tum ena sebi nkwada na omo aba no brante nkete no ene omo nim kasa no moto omo gun enti no sisi no in fact omo hu di yeko because omo nim say nkuguo bi ba it omo waste omo time on wasting resources the petrol kakra eja egu kam ni no onye den omfa kasa de koye communication the NPP because onim so onye den a Bawumia beko na branche baako a oye MDC communications deputy director we were gidi pa na ohwe always how we see tackle ni nsem na ofa na point by point na odi aponchi the opponent no eye Malik Basintale me kan Malik Basintale nti no ndie se do bia be kan be din. In fact we me pen communications how usikasa and how making submissions one tie ni ya one tina se ubekase dikase bia wa attack aban no but a fact and oka he is being factual and nyobeka bia so no no kware eda ho clear trudo into oni GH1 for your interview in fact na very interesting utie owura no ensem okeka especially Bawumia ne running mate sisifia. In fact wayo bufumfunam na mia mitie interview we ma say Malik Basintale no he is talented when it comes to communication or you talented you can't take away from him and obemwa ho aye tan ojima chinja akọ na ne nkohia NPP no ojima chinja akọ no ne nkohia radio program team progobegu ani mase just like some Gemfi and I didn't any CC NPP form to ada ho the omo ye bia no CC am anye den ho ada di sebi ewudi omo di Ghana fo nyane ho ada ho to ada ho nti omo ye hu hwenye yi o de fa so nye yi o de fa fo me yi. That is how it is. Yenko Malik Basintale yikoti ba naka bi edbeto aso bidin mega meso so be subscribe him Facebook wa meso so be like page ni na why dey wetimi a subscribe to the channel no na bibi etimi akoso me be ma revival man link in the description yenkoti nse no enfabra.
I believe it's the NPP that you're talking about. It's led by the presidential candidate who's the current vice president of the country. Actually, mounted a podium, got a lot of the youth attending this event, and was talking about what his party has in store for the youth if he's elected into office, and already went on to talk about some of the many things that this government has already done to help the youth in terms of creation of jobs, among other things, digitalization and all of that. And there were quite a number of people who were there who seemed very, very enthusiastic about that message. So they seemed that they had hope. So why do you say the NPP is a hopeless party when clearly there are a lot of people who believe in the message of the NPP?
So quietly listen to the scenario. I beg your pardon. When the NDC was leaving office in 2016, the number of people who were unemployed in this country were barely 800,000. Are you on track? Unemployment under the NDC was 7%. Bawumia claims that they have created 2.6 million jobs. If indeed what Bawumia had said was true, then today we should have been in a negative in unemployment in this country. So which means that we should have even gone outside the country to look for 1.8 more people to come and work for this country. Today, the number of unemployed people stands at 1.6 million to 1.8 million, raising the bar of unemployment or the percentage to 14.7%. Tally it. Does it make sense? We left the country for you with 800,000 people unemployed. All you needed to do was to create jobs for 800,000 people, and Ghana's unemployment will be 0%. You claim you have created 2.6 million, yet unemployment has jumped from 800,000 to 1.8 million. Then maybe you created employment for ghosts. It doesn't make sense.
Well, but the population is increasing.
When we're living
population is increasing.
When we're living office,
we have a population now of about 33 million, and a lot of people have come,
absolutely,
to that age where legally, they can gain employment. So doesn't that add up to?
So do your arithmetic. So it means that all the people who added onto the population went unemployed. He claimed how many people? When we're living office, we're around 30 million. Today we are 33. Let's say 33. He said it's created jobs for 2.6 million. Then it means that we should have about 400,000 people unemployed, based on your logic. But we have 1.8 million people unemployed. How does that tally? And you think that you are talking to small children. Sometimes I listen to Mr. Bawumia, and truth be told, I feel he's an entire waste of our time. Look, yesterday you said you are going to give the youth policies, job creation policies. So, Bantam, can you mention one thing he said that was going to solve the issue of unemployment in this country? I want one.
Well, he talks about jobs, in the digital space, for example.
How is he going to create it?
Setting up a $100 million fund, which is going to enable a lot of startups, in the fintech space, in the digital space, and all of that, to thrive, making it easy. I mean, that's off the top of my head, one of them I can mention. Is that on a laudable policy?
So that was not possible from 2017. That was not possible in 2018. It wasn't possible in 2019. It wasn't possible in 2020. It wasn't possible in 2021. Till 2024. Now he's telling you and I that it is possible in 2025. How does that add up? There are young men out there who want jobs in the digital space. Why hasn't he created it?
But what's the track record of the NDC in that regard?
I mean,
when John Mahama was president, what's the track record of John Mahama?
We managed,
in the area of employment,
we managed,
and creating jobs.
We managed to close unemployment from 13% to 7% in this country. It's on record. It was under the tenure of John Mahama that we had single digits unemployment in this country, under John Mahama. It was under John Mahama that we had single-digit inflation in this country, under John Mahama. It was under John Mahama that the dollar was changing at single digits, 4 cedi, under John Mahama. Today, if everything is not double, then it's triple in this country, to the extent that debt to GDP rose to 1.104% in this country. It's never been so. To the extent that inflation rose to 58% under this current government, it has never been so. To the extent that unemployment is 14.7% in this country, it's never been so. In fact, just 2 days ago, I read news that from January till date, more than 800,000 more people have been pushed down the poverty drains in this country. And the man who is in charge of the economy comes to tell you and I that, look, I have the solutions, but I am so wicked that I won't teach Nanado the solutions. When you vote for me, I would come and implement those solutions. I have never seen a government campaign against itself because it has failed and is now pleading on you to vote for itself again, that failed government, to come and lead office. I've never seen that. Look, in 2012, when President Mahama was campaigning, there was nowhere that he said he wasn't in charge of the economy. Never. He had never. In fact, our motto in 2012, our campaign message, if you remember, was continuing the Better Ghana agenda. You remember? And President Mahama was proud of his record. Why? Because under his leader tenure, he chalked 1 million tons in cocoa production. Why? Because under his tenure, he was exchanging the dollar at 2 Ghana cedis. Why? Because under his tenure, a gallon of petrol used to sell at 8 Ghana cedis under President Mahama. So he was proud of being the head of the economic management team, and he campaigned on the backs of that. Why is Bawumia running away from his record? Why is he suddenly saying, look? And what surprised me yesterday was, and please, if Alhaji Bawumia is listening to me, I wish to advise him. You have a platform. Ghanaian youth are watching you. Tell us what you have for us. You come and stand and say, and John Mahama should also tell us when he was vice president what he did. Was that why they gave you the platform?
But is that not a legitimate question to
when
ask?
President Mahama was speaking at UPSA, telling the youth of this country the policies he had in stock for them, did you hear Bawumia in his speech? Because the unemployed youth of this country do not care whether you talk about Chada, you talk about Lanchamante, you talk about Bawumia. They care about what you have for them.
But is that not a legitimate question
when
to
you
ask?
are behind the screens, like I'm behind the screens this morning, you know what comes behind my mind? That there's a young man who hasn't eaten this evening watching me. That there's a young lady who hasn't been paid watching me. That there's a jobless young man watching me. So anytime I'm speaking, I should remember that it is not time to be insulting people and all of that. It is time to profess solutions. And that's why the young man in Form 3 watching me, who does not know how you go to university, I have good news for him this evening. Free tertiary education is coming.
But you are talking about insults. You're saying John Mahama insulted Vice President Bawumia?
That's
I mean, when he made a comment that it's about the economy, stupid, making reference to when I think Bill Clinton was campaigning and all of that. It's about the economy, stupid.
He said he quoted him.
People view it. So is that just like that time? And then equated it to the times that we are in now, about talking about things about the economy. So directed at the vice president that it's about the economy, stupid. I mean, is that not an insult?
He has told the vice president times in number that attempt to run away from the reasons why you were voted into office will not hold. Then he gave a similar example that happened during the days of Bill Clinton. And you cannot quote someone and omit a word from it. You quote the person verbatim.
You juxtapose it to what is happening today and use the same thing.
If I want to quote someone, how do we quote people? Do we quote people and omit words? Do we quote people and omit words? You quote people verbatim. Unless he intended paraphrasing.
So it wasn't an insult.
And he intended quoting whatever the man said.
So
and
it wasn't an insult.
How could that have been an insult? If we want people who had not quoted and had insulted raw, it's Bawumia. Because he said incompetent Mahama. You know how insulting that is? But President Mahama had red blood. He didn't. And you are crying all around. Then you cry tears. I mean, you see, people must understand that these campaigns we are going for are serious business. And that is why anytime I listen to the nation builder, John Dramani Mahama, I get hope and it inspires me. You know why? Because when I tune in and I watch the man who has come to derail their campaign, the NPP's campaign, Napo, campaigning, and I see him dancing, OCC, Fianeme, I look at him and I say, oh my God, young men are watching you and paid contractors are watching you, and you standing because you are so satisfied. You live an opulent life. You think it's time to dance CC Fianeme, and you're so happy. Then I look at Bawumia shouting, more fast here, no mame. What policy is that? I think it's time to give him a home use Opel Vectra steer so that he leaves us. The noise is getting too much. Even when I listen to Alan Chirmante, I beg your pardon, without any intention of undermining their campaign, or Chada, trust me, I listen to men who also have some policies across my heart. But I listen to Bawumia, a man who is in office and supposed to be serious and take the country serious. All you hear him doing is Odomedeka and he'll be doing this. Then, I mean, this is a man who wants to be president in this country. Come on, let's look.
Let's go back to Malik, the issue of records, right? And I asked you whether or not that's not a legitimate question to ask, because they say that, well, this is a contest of records. We have two individuals who have both been vice presidents, just that one of them has not been president. So they say, let's compare, what they did as they were vice presidents, right? Dr. Bawumia's claim is that as vice president, some of the things that he has even been able to achieve far outweighs what John Mahama was able to achieve as vice president under President Mills. In fact, Vice President Bawumia lists about 33 achievements, as vice president, and asked John Mahama to talk about one thing that he did under President Mills from 2008 or 2009 all the way to 2012 before
when the Ghana chopped 1 million ton in cocoa production. Was it not 2011?
He's talking about what is attributed to the vice president, not the entire Mills administration, but as vice president, right? Because Dr. Bawumia says he's done 33 things himself, not collectively saying as Akufo-Addo Bawumia, but as Bawumia himself.
How did he attribute?
So he's asking, as Mahama as vice president, yes, what has he? That's the question that the NPP
First of all, how did he attribute the 33 things to himself? And he doesn't want us to attribute 1 million ton in cocoa production to President Mahama. In other words, it's not Bawumia who told us he's not been in charge, and that he's not been in government, he's not been in office, and so we shouldn't blame him. We should now give him his opportunity. It's not Bawumia. So how come when they talk about the failed economy, you are not in charge? When there's a little small success somewhere, oh, it is my achievement. What kind of a confused human being is that? No, Lantam, you've been here. You've listened to him. I have not been in charge. It's not my government. When you vote for me, it will now be my brand new government. Is that what he says? So how come you now have 33 achievements? Where did you get those 33 achievements? So it means that as for Mr. Akufo-Addo, excuse me to say, he was an entirely useless man. Is that what you're saying? He doesn't have an achievement. It is yours.
So you're saying those were not Bawumia's achievements?
No, but when we talk,
those were Akufo-Addo's achievements.
Where were the achievements? Because a lot of the things he spoke about were things that were started under President Mahama.
Like what?
He spoke about mobile money interoperability. That policy was started under President Mahama. In fact, mobile money itself,
but it didn't exist.
I'm saying that mobile money,
as far as we know, it didn't exist.
Money transfer.
You couldn't transfer money from Vodafone to MTN.
That's not true.
Or from Airtel Tigo to.
That's not true. So
all of that.
So policies
to
do not
bank account.
Policies do not emerge out of the blue. It starts from somewhere.
Yeah.
Number one, under whose regime did money transfer come? Under the NDC, under President Mahama. Number two, in 2016, all the interoperability mechanisms were put in place, ready to take off, together with the passport office digitalization. You remember that even in 2016, the Foreign Affairs Minister Hanatete had gone to the passport office to declare it now a digital system. All those systems were put in place. So even in 2017, you come and then you eat into the achievements of your predecessor. I mean, how does that become your achievement? In other words, look, let's even admit it, that he has all the achievements in this world. Who, under whose regime of the economy, of heading the economic management team, are we now buying petrol at almost 100 Ghana cedi? It's not Bawumia. You remember in 2016, the math. He will arrest the dollar, he will arrest petrol prices, and sometimes I feel that some of his math, the blabbing, are those that angered the dollar. And today the dollar is at 17 cedis. Why is he not talking about that? That is what we want to hear. Then when we hear him say, I've launched an app for watches sellers. I've launched an app for trotro drivers. Mr. Bawumia, I beg you, launch an app to stabilize the economy. Launch an app to arrest the dollar. Launch an app to reduce fuel prices. In fact, launch an app to reduce electricity and water prices. That is the app we want. You can't turn yourself into Google Play Store and at one breath you are launching an app for watches sellers. And when the dollar is rising, you cannot launch an app to arrest the dollar. What kind of an app developer are you? Which apps are you launching? Who have you seen pay trotro fare through an app? Who? That is not our priority. He doesn't understand where we are today. And I've said it times in number that one of the regrets Ghana ever had was to have a leader who doesn't understand our crisis. Look, Lantam, your biggest problem as you sit here, I have not asked you, but I know you struggle to buy petrol. I know you struggle to pay electricity tariffs. I know within 3 months your salary is consumed. I know that this job you are doing, I don't need to ask you. And this is not with any intention of insulting your paymasters. But the truth of the matter is that the economy is down and your salary cannot reach 1 full month.
Well, you don't know.
Look,
I've not told you that, so
I am here. And today, for the first time, anytime you intend sending somebody mobile money, the person will tell you, not this number, I'll send another number. When you ask the person why I'm owing MTN mobile money, 80% of Ghanaians are owing Momo. That is the state of the economy. Market, I'm a young man out here. All your camera crew, I know by now they are talking to you. They know what is happening in the economy. Many people here in GH1 even owe MTN quick loan. And I
don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know where you are getting that information from.
I am saying on record.
I don't know who you have spoken to here. I don't know where you are getting that information from. But I don't know about that.
I'm saying that the savior of the youth under this inept, corrupt Bawumia Nanado government is MTN quick loan. But for MTN quick loan, many people would have been in crisis.
That's an interesting thing.
And it's terrible. It's a fact. You cannot ask anybody out there.
We need to take our first break here. This is State of Affairs here on GH1 television. My guest in the studio is Malik Basintale. He is the Deputy National Communications Officer of the NDC. Buy now and pay later with Sametro, and you can now buy a very sleek and trendy smartphone and enjoy the luxury.
Know what they are going through. Look, today there are people who call you, youth of this country, who are working. They will call you and tell you, please, can you send me 400 cedis? Let me pay MTN. Then I will borrow again and send to you. In times where they pay and they don't get the money again, your relationship with them will break, because you also go into crisis. And that's what happens. And that's the reality. You can open your phone lines. It's sad, you know. And there's something we call quack jobs in this country. Look, there are people actively working. But I tell you that they're only working because they want their names to be registered as Ghanaian workers. The salary they pay them may be good, but it doesn't take them anywhere. Within 2 months, the salary is consumed. Those days, when I hear 18 Ghana cedis, 20 cedis as fare, it means you are dropping from Medina to airport. You know that. Today, when you hear 20 cedis, that's trotro fare. From Medina to Accra, trotro. Those days, when you enter trotro, they pay Quen. Today, 20 cedis, 25 cedis, 30 cedis, trotro. When you talk of Uber and taxi, don't go there. The least to pay 50, 60 within a short journey. It's not the driver's fault. He can buy petrol. He can buy spare parts. It's not the person's fault. The person's salary is so mega. And the person will have to be fighting with drivers. I watched a video clip where a man was fighting with a trotro mate over 50 peso change. And I looked in the sky and I said, oh God, come and rescue my country. And I looked at the sideways, and all I could see, the hope I could see in this country, was the nation builder John Dramani Mahama. And so when we talk about the crisis in this country, I think at any opportunity, Bawumia and Napo should first of all render an apology to Ghanaians.
But we heard the finance minister. But you heard the finance minister as a point, you know, talk about, yes, there's an apology to Ghanaians, but they are working to turn things around. And you talk about where the economy is now. And the government talks about the facts, and I know that you know that it is a fact, that there was COVID-19, especially from the latter part of the year 2019 into 2020, when we were really hit hard with COVID-19, which obviously had an impact on the economy. That's something that cannot be denied. And Russia's war on Ukraine, you know, which has affected supply chain lines and what have you, which also had a certain impact, you know, on the economy. And all of this cumulated into Ghana getting into a point where we were in dire straits, and so certain drastic steps needed to be taken to help us get out of the doldrums. You famously remember President Akufo-Addo talking about we can bring the economy back to life, but we cannot bring human beings back to life, and so protect yourself as far as COVID is concerned. So inflation rose all the way to 54%. Our economy was rated junk status, among other things. But you would agree with me, Malik, that in recent times we began to see some improvements as far as the macroeconomic indicators are concerned. Inflation rising all the way to 54%. Now inflation is standing at around 22.7%. 21, you know, percent, or 21.5%, you know, as we speak now, as at the last figures, right? We have ratings agencies now giving us a positive outlook on our economy, among other things. So things are gradually beginning to get better. We are beginning to climb out of the economic doldrums. The finance minister even talked about the DDEP saving, you know, Ghana about 12 billion, you know, US dollars, among other things. So you would agree what things got worse, but they are changing.
The CEO of the Karma Group, died 2 days ago. You know why? He couldn't afford to buy his pension drugs. I'm not saying it. He said it on live TV, you know, Lantam, that his pensions have all been restructured and he doesn't have access to his own savings. He wasn't an irresponsible man. He wasn't a useless man. He was a man that employed hundreds. He was a man that worked and saved monies so he could enjoy his pension. As a result of reckless spending, excessive flying of private jets, whining and dining and bathing in the sky by Mr. Akufo-Addo, driving in long convoys where a whole tundra carries the presidential chair, Samira Bawumia and the husband dancing, misbehaving, cutting e-levy cakes. This country went into junk status. The man's money was restructured to save the economy. The man could no longer buy pension drugs. He died. Is that a rebound? So the rebound of the economy was for the man, the CEO of Karma Group, to die. We don't have pity for such people. For the first time, a chief justice appointed under a government demonstrated against her own government. You know, for the first time. And she sat there and said she's not leaving the ministry until they pay her pensions. A chief justice, former chief justice, retired. She sat there. I felt sad when I watched the woman. That wasn't a common woman, excuse me to say. Now,
but she was there to commiserate with, her colleague pensioners.
Absolutely, and herself.
Because she believed
they were struggling.
They were struggling.
And who put them in that crisis? Alhaji Bawumia and Mr. Akufo-Addo. Absolutely. And Mr. Akufo-Addo and Bawumia put them in that crisis. Today, when you go to the market to buy tomatoes, do you tell them the inflation is now at 24%? So sell to me at 2 cedi. Is that what I tell them? You go to buy fuel. When inflation dropped,
inflation is now 21.5%.
Absolutely. When inflation dropped, as they claim, fuel prices rose. True or false? Today, a gallon of petrol is now around 14.7 cedis a liter. Under President Mahama, 13 cedis sold at a gallon. Under Nanado, 14 cedis, 70 pesos sells for a liter. A gallon is almost 100 Ghana cedi. When they said inflation dropped, the dollar rose in this country. Today, the dollar is around 18 Ghana cedis, sometimes 18.5, sometimes 17.
Well, it's 17. It's 17.
I just said
the last I checked, it was 17 Ghana cedis.
That is when
I've not seen the dollar reach 18
that is, no, it's not true.
I don't know where you saw the dollar reach 18 cedis. Where did the dollar reach 18 cedis?
Hold on.
We know it's 17
Hold on.
It went to 17.2.
I'm in your studio with my entire integrity on the line. If I lie and I resign today, open your phone lines and a forex bureau, someone will call and tell you he changed the dollar for 18 cedis in this country. Wallahi, I'm telling you, with my integrity on the line.
I don't
open
know about changing the dollar for 18 cedis.
Read your comment section.
About 17
and I'm saying that with my integrity on the line. Wallah, check it and see. So please, this is the state of the economy. And you see, I've told you already that what saddens my heart is that, okay, we're in COVID. We all came out of a crisis. It will be so. The best you can do for us is to come and stand in front of us and be dancing Odomedeka and Nebema. Is that the best you could do for us? The best you can do for us is for your running mate to come and stand before us, and partying and dancing. Is that the best you could do for us? If you claim we
but
come
these
from
are
crisis,
things that happen on campaign.
Ukraine, Ukraine.
Has nobody from the NDC danced on the campaign platform? Hasn't anyone from the NDC danced on the campaign
Nobody from NDC have taken us into this crisis before. Nobody from the NDC has taken us into this crisis before. Nobody. You can't take us into this crisis and be dancing. You dance when you've taken us to glory. You dance when you've taken us to paradise. You don't dance when you've taken us to the ditches of hell. And we are struggling today. People are dying. Look, the renal unit, 2 million was needed to just pay for the renal unit to treat kidney patients. This inept, wicked, insensitive government said they didn't have that money. Yet they could afford 4 million to fly a private jet for President Akufo-Addo to go and beg for money from the Paris Club.
But I would say in 2016, for example, when you were campaigning, there was Doomso and all of that. There were songs Mahama Paper and Hi with the and all of that. But we were in Doomso.
You know why President Mahama
were dancing?
Yeah, you know why President Mahama danced?
Doing Usain Bolt and all of that.
You know why he did that? You know why he did that?
Criticizing, Dr. Bawumia and Napo for dancing.
You know why
you've done that before.
You know why President Mahama did that in 2016? Because he solved Doomso, and there was the need to rejoice. And President Akufo-Addo praised him for doing that. Every leader in 2016 praised President Mahama. You know why? Because it was a long-term crisis. In 2007, I have said this repeatedly, when Doomso befell this country, the solution of the NPP, they took pastors from Suhum, Apedja, Tema Community 1 to Akosombo Dam to go and put their hands on the dam, and pray for the dam, and said that was going to solve Doomso. Have you ever seen Doomso being a spiritual problem? President Mahama said Doomso was not caused by demons and unseen forces. It was caused by lack of generation capacity, and that was why he brought car power. He brought a Mary and all the power batches to beef up our megawatts in this country. You attest to the fact that after car power and Mary were all boosted, Doomso was resolved in this country to the extent that the NPP now says we have so much power to the extent that we now have excess capacity. If you don't have adequate power, will you have excess capacity in this country? So you see, Lata, my problem is that even Russia and Ukraine that you used, Ukraine used to farm cereals, We used to farm cocoa, The country that receives the bombs, today, they still import cereals into this country. Cocoa production has gone so low to the extent that we are struggling to even get 300,000 tons. Cocoa, we can't even have access to the syndicated loan. All banks have closed, and currently, Cocoa Board has run at a loss, 2 billion loss, 1 billion loss, 500 million losses in this country. Under NDC, we declared profits in this country under the venerable Dr. Opuni. Today we are running losses. So the country that receives the bombs still exports and makes profits. The country that is many 100,000 miles away is now suffering. Has a bomb landed in the cocoa farm in Ghana? Tell me. Or has a bomb from Russia landed at Cocoa Board? So that excuse of Russia, Ukraine, COVID-19. In other words, were we the only country that suffered from COVID? Why is Cote d'Ivoire doing well? Why is Nigeria doing well? Why is Togo doing well? I don't want to go far. I'm using neighboring countries. And in fact, if Mr. Akufo-Addo and Bawumia had a chance, we will get COVID again in this country. You know why? Because they benefited from COVID-19. Was it not because of COVID that they had 100,000 each to give to their parliamentary candidates, as exposed by one of them, Felicia Tete? Was it not under COVID that Okojo Oppong Nkrumah paid the Auditor General's report, paid people who are not frontline workers, shared monies and couldn't even issue certificates to defend them? Was it not under COVID-19 that caterers who had cooked were just giving monies from Ken Ofori-Attah's office without any certificate of payment or anything? In fact, was it not under COVID-19 that Ken Ofori-Attah finally insured workers with his own company, Enterprise Group? And all this can be found in the Auditor General's report. They built a house at Adaklu 15 million, renovated it at 21 million, and abandoned it. If not corruption, chop, stinking under this government. Why will they do that? So COVID was good news to Mr. Akufo-Addo, who is the mother serpent of corruption. And Bawumia are said by their own special prosecutor. And you see, I am saying that I'm pleading on Ghanaians, please, for the first time in the Republic, we have a man who has 3-4 manifestos. John Mahama has the main manifesto. He has the 120 days pledge to Ghanaians. He has the youth manifesto and he has the women manifesto. Fantastic. I've never seen this ever since I was born. I've never or read of this anywhere in the books. Number one, President Mahama says that in his entire 4 years, the Ashantis have a proverb that Niano Kwan Wano or Shasi Entem. And yes, sir. That is why President Mahama says he knows that he has limited time to work, but he needs to reset this country. He needs to put the country back on track, and by so doing, he needs to start on time. Within the first 14 days of his administration, he would appoint the leanest government. Why? President Akufo-Addo came at a point, appointed more than 120 ministers, never seen in the Republic of Ghana, appointed recklessly into offices, his own daughter. I have never seen that. How insensitive and wicked a man can be. Youth are unemployed, yet you appoint your own daughter to the Creative Arts Board and award contracts to her. What kind of selfishness is that? John Mahama says, I would reduce the size to 60 ministers and I will appoint them within 14 days, which means that...
Well, Dr. Bawumia is also saying that he's not going to run the country with a large number of ministers.
So
Dr. Bawumia is also talking about running his government with 60 ministers.
So who appointed the 120 ministers? Why couldn't he?
In fact, 50.
Advise,
Dr. Bawumia actually says 50.
Why couldn't he advise his boss? We have heard of...
He's not in charge.
We've heard... So
he's not the appointing authority.
How about the 33?
Dr. Bawumia cannot appoint a minister.
Why? But he can advise his boss, right?
But he can appoint a
But
minister.
he can advise his boss. That say the ministers are too many. Reduce the number. He can do that, right? So they tell us you are appoint. Please, talk is cheap, and talk is the only tax-free commodity in this country. Avoid such people who talk that way. Listen to the nation builder John Mahama. He says 14 days.
And you know, that is it. That is it. Uti nsem ura ne kana. Uti say unimdioka. Point by point. Statement by statement. Or ponchiwa no ponchiw. Baby a honum na ye Mr. Kwari say. Osi yesu ye wosifia ni bi. Nepo. Ni umu buomu. Yesu ye wosifia ni bi. The personality. Say nka omodwene Ghana for ho a. Nka nya ndwumwe ena omodi beye campaign. I'm telling you. Miyanka se kimpaluta nwum ne nye o. But enwuma nka ebema Ghana. Ye bo ato ye yam. Enwuma sebi ebema ye hu se nkofo emonu omo ho na omo ase oman enti baby aduru de ye hu omomobo na ensam no momofo yes ehwe ade. But we de omo de ndwuma sebi obi didi wie ome na onye sikato no botom na onye japade na onye bibia wo mreko a ono wa mbra enwumu ya na odibesa enwumu ya na odibesa because na aka bia na eni sifia de aka bia no eni sebi sifia ena odwene ho ondwene oman nkanko ho nti hu nepo na ogina platform so o sifia ni bia ojejirije you might, I was what the all can say. You have to understand the opachere. What I say, also what the all can say. And Panina to say, now Ope Ghana, your vice president, and original platform. So, always if any business room now, also, I mean, Castle, no, Mimianka, no making polluta me review me. Polluta in Anoya, mean Castle, no, yet, Pacho. The me can say, and you know, anya dia yɛde campaign wɔ mmerɛko a Ghanafoɔ mo failure yɛni abra yɛto mo akɔto opposition yɛde mo kɔ opposition na mo de sisi fiane university reality ne ho nneɛma asɛm ne nama ɔmo se ɔyɛ kuntan nwene mu ma ɛdɛ wodi akyire wobɛsa saa bo nsɛ enti Bawumia wobɛte n'ani no na asa no ɛne nnwom no Dominican bemo Dominican bemo amania osian ye money stiano mo mami stiano fastiano mami ye president brand new tier rubber president akwa we joka hey Bawumia or ye most do mini Bawumia kame hu me talent see kame been fighting for politics me see me time no one is mini brain jota na Kibiniza no makutwa skit because Bawumia oye most joker I will bet me yi skit kra mana onye ska che politics na odi wia Ghana ska nkofo bondua me de menka ho nkofo no me no ene de keka ho no enti yemieni no kwadi de omodi aye Ghana no so betu sisi fia o so betu sisi tetrete o hwane o Ghanaians are angry and we are not going to give Ghana to you guys again. Baby, I must say Ghana drew no. A year. Young farmer mobile. Young for Ghana, Mamma Nampa Yeding. We have given to you for 8 good years. You who are the papa with the air. What do you want Ghana for? A dear name for Ghana, Mamobio Namufaje. Enye mufie japade Ghana kondwan enya didie bi na abeto na mum eyeye timamfo ne be decide say yesi yempem a there's nothing that you can do yebema eni agye mo ho at this crucial moment no Ghana fo NPP aban mo ho ye time because you are the mother serpents of corruption. Akufo told Ghanaians in 2015 say ono oba obi so anas principles aremi yaw anas tiger IPI omo kandini no so be so no principles no ene anas no when you see principles no but ono we use na ade achiche nkrofo wa ban mu a mo bokoro no a Akufo ahwe nyankopon anim chese enka ho asem ayinani ayinani Charles Bisiu Galamsey Sagaye Bayi, that is one he's one corporate. What I say, one of the big saga, Charles Bisiu, yes. And Professor Frimpong Boateng, the resource you are the buy, the report you are the buy Mfanchemi, the surgeon, no, the report you are the buy for Galamsey, Nina. A dead face and another the mother serpent of corruption. Ye mami da pa abna da pa usi ahwane da pa kuya da pa mami Sicilia abna da pa sika ye kuhu woni fie ne gatam ne mpase ni fie yam ne dukum hefa ne bibia ba bia bi hye no. In fact, this is enough reason for me to call Akufo a mother serpent of corruption because ne ti ha sisi maame no nyanya asempapa bia nka mfa ne ho the okan say maame no will be what cleaned na the end of the day no asem no cry special prosecutor kise jabe ne sajene ojem nti o man ben ne echichire ye obi di nkwasi ade sebi ne echi na president no clearing agent no abe clear no my ben ye chichiri. On my ben and ye chichiri. Ye chichiri ye crooks a gang of armed robbers. I mean for we see. Remember me chiba for United States of America, Mammy Yanko Shira New York. New York now. South na Mammy Roye be UK. Yanko Shira me mammy papa. And you be out here TV no. I salute you, Yanko Shira. Mr. Revival man, a link in the description name. Na streaming name. Say the be America. Na stream maybe all the media, digital platform, Boomplay, Spotify, Audio Mac, SoundCloud. A Revival man. Na streaming name ni bi or your gospel artist who UK. Odi kuti hwe ade ko. Kuti uko na nyoda sambra na bidi matem. Eno ano no. Yanko Shira. Bye bye.